Today I'm going to introduce a bit on the automatic code generation. Okay. So what is autocode generation? It is actually the study of the generative programming in the sense that the code is actually generated automatically, such like the text to code. You just give the comments and the AI will generate code for you, or the code to code translations and the code summaries as well. Okay. So the terms for the autocode generation, including the code generator, code generation model, language model of code, generative computer language model, and so on. Okay. So, and we are talking about the AI-based code generation. So why now? Because recently we have seen the evident advancement in the natural language processing and the deep learning-based NLP. See the emerging all these large language models of code and the language, like the Google's BERT, OpenAI's GPT-3, ChatGPT, and so on. They are trained with big data, having billions of parameters, and keep growing and evolving. And some leading AI startup, including the OpenAI, of course, the creator of the DALL-E text-to-image generations, Copilot, code generations, ChatGPT, AI chatbot, and so on, Hugging Face, open source communities, Coheres, F121 Labs, and so on. So it is a natural extension from the natural language generation to programming language generation. Okay. So the top AI-based code generators, including the Copilot, OpenAI's Codex, also the open source PolyCoder, CodeT5, and more. Okay, alternatives to the Copilot. Also, we will discuss a bit on the other open source libraries and the packages, such like the text to code, which is open source basically for the data science and analytics, and also the Cogram, which is not open source. It's basically also on the data science and the analytics domain. Also the Tabnine, which is not open source, but it's actually just for the code auto completion only. Okay. So what is the Copilot? Copilot is an AI tool developed by the GitHub and the OpenAI jointly for the autocode generation. So it is an AI virtual assistant that helps you with coding faster and easier. So it is powered behind the scene by the OpenAI's Codex model, which is an AI model created by the OpenAI that translates natural language to code. So its technical preview is available as an extension for Virtual Studio Code, NewVim, JetBrains, Android Studio, PyCharm IDs, and even in the cloud with GitHub code spaces. Okay. So here is the evolution tree for the OpenAI's GTP, Generative Pre-trained Transformer family. So the GTP is actually the language model that is firstly pre-trained with the text data and using the unsupervised learning technique to learn the statistical patterns in the big data of the text internet. Okay. Then once it's trained, the GTP can be fine-tuned for the many different downstream natural language processing tasks, such like the machine translation, question answering, and so on. Okay. So GTP is just like the intermediate version of the GTP family. Then we saw like the coming of the third version of the GTP model family, that is GTP3, and this is also the one of the largest language model so far, and it has been fine-tuned to perform a wide range of language tasks, including all these kind of QAs, machine translation, code generations, text generations, and summarizations, and so on. So actually the Copilot is based on the GTP3 model. Then the newer version of the GTP3 is called the GTP 3.5 series. It is actually the series of models trained on both a mixture of the text and the code from the before Codex 4 2021, and they are more capable than the previous version of the GTP3 and the Codex, but they are only partially available in OpenAI's APIs, So the OpenAI didn't open all the their GTP models to the public so far. Okay, so some improved version of the Codex and also some instructor GTP, which we mentioned before in the ChatGPT discussion. The using the reinforced learning from human feedback to actually to better align the AI model to the human values is also belong to the ChatGPT 3.5 family. Okay, and then we saw the birth of the ChatGPT, which is fine-tuning the GTP 3.5 model, optimized for the convolutional language generation and understanding work. Okay. So how does the codex works? So the OpenAI's codex is a variant of the GTP 3 model, and it's trained on the billions of lines of public code, including the many GitHub repos and also the text on the internet. So it understands both computer and the natural languages, and it also has a memory of 14 KB for the Python code, whereas the GTP3 has only 4 KB, so it can retain over 3 times as much contextual info while performing any programming the autocode generation task. And also it is very proficient in the Python coding, and besides that it also can understand and generate a dozen of the language codes, including the C++, C#, Java, JavaScript, Go, Perl, PHP, Ruby, Swift, TypeScript, and even Shell. Okay, so for the service flow for the Copilot, so in the first step, you can see the GitHub the Copilot edit IDE extension. Will send your comments and the code to the GitHub Copilot service via the APIs. Then in the second step, the Copilot will call the OpenAI's Codex behind the scene, where actually to suggest and generate some the code automatically for you. And then in the final step, the user can edit to improve the suggestions provided by the Copilot and Codex. Okay. So you may ask, can the Copilot understand my local languages? The answer is yes. So the Copilot is actually trained on and can understand many natural languages besides the English, as well as all the common programming languages. So for example, on some example on the left hand side, you can see some people can ask, can you understand Greek? And I understand Greek. So that is in the different languages. Also in the second example on the right hand side, you can see write a quick sort and give a test case that is actually written in the Chinese, and then you can show the quick sort, the code automatically generated by the Copilot. Okay. So what does Copilot do? Actually, many things it can do. It can first of all understand the comments and generate the accurate suggestions like this text to code generation. So the Copilot actually draws context from the comments and your prompts, and then actually your definition of the code or function you want to generate, and then synthesize the code to match your comments and the request. And it can also autofill and autocomplete for some repetitive code. So it works great for producing some boilerplate code and code with little no change required, and with some clear patterns, just like fit it with some a few samples, and it will generate the remaining code for you. It can automatically suggest unit test code for the functions, and will support the users with multiple suggestions and the alternatives to choosing and edit from. So it can also help you actually to code confidently with any the new programming languages. So if you want to learn any new languages, just to use the Copilot or the ChatGPT as the convenient the virtual AI assistant, and then it will be show you the code anytime, anywhere, totally free. Okay, so that is also the other benefit, the time saving, of course, and it will bring a high productivities and also improve your working flow, and also set us free from the having to remember some specific the language syntax to stay focused on the creative part of our work. Okay. Also, there are some like drawbacks and the concerns. So such kind of the Copilot and the ChatGPT, the not yet perfect. So it's also not open source and no verification on the code it suggests, and only immediately proceeding the context, is used for code generation, and only suggest sometimes is the code is not totally correct or accurate or up to date. So it may suggest some like old or like the obsolete, libraries or the syntax. Also, it's some like security issues and so on. Okay. So in summary, the Copilot is a great tool for developers that allows you to greatly improve your productivity by providing smart code completions based on the context. But it can neither replace the human programmer nor build a system totally by itself. Nor its suggestions are always accurate as the truth, the have any all that true information or like the up to date. So you always have to check. Okay. So after all, the Copilot is just an AI assistant, as we said, and you are the one who is actually in charge of like the developing the software and creativity. Okay. So for the actually the open source alternative to the Copilot, the PolyCoder is actually the one of the first open source code generation models. Actually, so it actually is developed by the researchers at the Carnegie Mellon University, and it's based on the OpenAI's GTP2 model family and trained on the 249 gigabits of the code base written in the 12 programming languages. So according to its author, PolyCoder is capable of writing C language with a greater accuracy even than any other tool, including the Codex. So according to my initial assessment, so it can do like a simple code generation, but for the Python generation seems it's not as good as a Copilot, but it's an open source white box and has many potentials to grow. So in the 5 minutes, and we're going to do some like hands-on test session and to try using the PolyCoder as well as the other open source tools as well. Okay. So another open source model based called the CodeT5. It is based on the Google's T5 architecture, built by the Salesforce research team. So it is an AI model for the code understanding and generation, and it's trained with 8+, meaning the function code instance from the public GitHub repos, BigQuery, and code searchnet datasets including C, C#, Ruby, JavaScript, Go, Python, and PHP. And it can support 4 types of the generation tasks, such like the code summarizations, code to text, code generations, text code, code translations, code to code, and also the code refinement, which is like the bug shooting. Also, it supports like 2 code understanding tasks, like the code defect detection and code clone detection. So it allows like fine-tuning on your own task and dataset. And also it will be according to my initial assessment, it can do the simple code completion and summarization, but the generation seems not as good as advanced as the Copilot. However, it can also offer some options of code fine-tuning and customization as an open source white box. Okay. So here is some the comparisons between the different code generation models. So you can see like the existing model size, between the open source models and the non-open source models. Okay, and also on the right side you can see like the prediction performance for each programming language. So here the metrics for performance comparison is the perplexity, which is like the smaller the better. So you can see almost across all the languages, the Codex, the blue bar is actually the lowest, and the the error. So it actually means that it's always perform almost the best. Only except like the C, where it's actually the PolyCoder seems like get a bit better than the Codex. Okay. So here also we introduce like the two other open source libraries tools, or specifically for the data science. So one is called the text to code, another called the Cogram. Okay. So what is the text to code? So it is a coding assistant specifically for data analytics, and it's just like the proof of concept Jupyter Notebook extension, which can convert the English queries into the relevant Python code. So its working mechanism is like this. So first of all, it try to follow the traditional chatbot design approach, that is like the waterfall approach. So at the beginning, it do the NLU, the intent, matching and matching. So it use, so-called universal sentence encoder to get sentence embedding of the user query and find the cosine similarity to a set of predefined intent templates. Then in the second step, using the named entity recognition to detect the variable, the entities. Then finally, it will, populate the template with the variable entities to assemble the replying code to the query. Okay, so just like the similarity match and then reply. So it's a quite simple, the approach. So as its summary, we can see it can understand some simple query and comment to auto-complete some visualizations and analytics code, but it's quite basic and not scalable. You have to manually, define the more intent and the code templates. Plus, so such kind of natural language understanding and NER is actually inaccurate for the custom or the complex query. So anyway, it's just like a proof of concept. Sorry, without any luxury or a large language model like the Copilot or the ChatGPT. So it is a long way to go and far from the maturity. Okay. So another tool for the specifically for the data science, the analytics is called the Cogram. It's actually the code generation tool for analytics like SQL and the Jupyter Notebooks, and it can translate the queries in English into the SQL queries with join and grouping, and it also supports the SQLite, the PostgreSQL, MySQL, and the Amazon Redshift. So the Cogram plugin for Jupyter Notebooks, is available to auto-generate the Python and the Junior code for the data science and machine learning, and it can also generate the contextual code based on the comments. It can even generate some visualizations using the Python libraries such like the Matplotlib, the Plotly, or the Seaborn. Okay, so the different pricing plans available. Also, they got some like the free version which is available for personal the research and study. Okay, so according to my initial assessment, it's a quite handy and accurate and better than the text to code for the data science code generation work, and also it's better than the Tabnine for the autocode completion. Okay. So what is the Tabnine? So it's actually not an end-to-end code generator, but it's just like some AI-based line by line code auto completion tool. So very handy tool. So it's different from the Copilot that directly converts the text comments to the code. So Tabnine needs like users to actually input the first part of code, just like a few letters, characters. Then the Tabnine will auto complete like the remaining part of the code you want to generate. So it's learned the patterns from the millions of repos and your project, and then predict your next block of code accurately. And it can train a private model on your team's like code to learn your specific coding patterns and style. Okay, so Tabnine supports 25 compute languages and 21 IDEs, including the Visual Studio Code, IntelliJ, Android Studios, and even Vim. So that is also some like a price plan, for the team, and also some free version available for the personal use as well. Okay. So this is all like the major IDs, integrated in the development environment and the programming languages, the Tabnine can support. It's quite comprehensive as well. Okay. Okay, let's do some like hands-on testing, like try the all these kind of the open source and the non-open source the tools for the auto code generation to see how it works. Okay. So first one, let's try the ChatGPT. Actually, the we should actually try like the Copilot, but because the Copilot is not free, and uh, according to their latest policies, you can only get like 6 days or like a free trial. After not 6 days, the free trial, your code will be automatically converted into some like a paid account. So anyway, so this is just like older version of like the ChatGPTs. Now we have like the availability of the like a free, the trial on the ChatGPT, which is like the improved version of the Copilot. We can just use it, the ChatGPT for our test. Okay. So first thing we want to demonstrate is and highlight is actually the the ChatGPT's the auto code generation abilities, writing the software zero coding required. You just need to actually to tell the AI what you want to do, and start like create some like the web scraping use the Python on the Amazon product, and the ChatGPT will create the code for you. Okay, for these kind of things, all these kind of generations will be automatically to generated. Okay. Okay. So then you can always stop generation anytime you want. Okay. So then we can just like to test like the code, the debugging abilities. So finding the code in the following code. So here, that this is just like Python code, and I got some like two bugs into this kind of code. Okay. So let's actually to find the something right. Let's actually to refreshing the screen. So let's actually, because recently the ChatGPT have some like the very high demand, and from time to time it will be broken. Okay. So you can see the ChatGPT instantly to detect is a couple issues associated with this code. First of all, the gender column is actually the have the incorrect like the data value type, and also for the comparison operators, we should using this kind of the and the operator to combine the compare conditions as well. Okay, so this is very good for the bug shooting and the correction. Another thing is like for the code to code translation. So here we can say we can write the Java from the just like a very dummy simple examples to for the ChatGPT to do, and it's pretty straightforward for it actually to generate this kind of the Java code. Okay, to sum up from 1 to 100. Okay. Okay, then next step, I want AI to convert this Java code to the Python. Okay. You can see it automatically converts the code from the Java to Python. Okay. So then this will show some like the drawback of the ChatGPT or Codex or Copilot, whatever it is from OpenAI. So it cannot totally verify the code it generated. So far you have always to manually check the correctness of the code generated by the Copilot or the ChatGPT. Okay. And also another interesting style, you can even like ask the ChatGPT to actually to give you some like the code for any functions with some like personalized the annotation style. Okay. Yeah, that's very nice. Okay. The interest bit like that every time when you actually ask the same questions, the ChatGPT may give you some different answers. So it's actually because the such kind of like the deep neural network, the very complex models with 175 billion parameters. So it's actually some like the AI explainability issues, we have to address. So because sometimes the result is not reproducible, and sometimes we actually give you the different answers for the same questions. But actually, for this particular query, look like it's very nice. Generate some like the quick sort code in Python with the Shakespeare's annotation style. Okay, nice. Okay, right. So, and also it can help you to learn some programming languages, like just like regard is like your virtual like AI tutor for language learning. That's pretty good. So for example, if you don't know what is the compression in Python, you can just ask these questions, and AI will just show you the concept and some like the demo code. Yeah, so that's nice. It gives you some like what is the general concept of this compression, and and also this is some like the dummy examples, the to show like the how to do the the NIST compression very the efficiently in Python. Okay, okay, nice. And yeah, so that is also the many more others relating to the code generations we can look at later on. Okay, for the second, the tool, which is the open source PolyCoder. So this is some large language models of the source code, and this is a GitHub repo, and currently it's available on the Hugging Face since like the last October. So it's available the models including all these kind of the 160 million, 0.4 billion and 2.7 billion models. So actually in order to using it in the Hugging Face, just simply run you have to actually to run and update your the transformers to this version, okay, or later, okay. So here it is, we just like to check our versions, because I already run it, I update my transformers. So then you just like to download and the load the pre-trained tokenizers and the pre-trained the PolyCode models. Okay, so that's it. So in the first example, I just want the PolyCoder to complete this code. So define some binary search. Okay, so and here you just need to give some like the prompt and let the PolyCoder to complete the remaining part of the functions. So here is just a prompt for the code PolyCoder to generate the follow-up code. Then this is tokenized the prompt. Then you actually feed in the this kind of the tokenized the prompt query into the model for the model to generate some like remaining code. Okay, then you can just display the code actually generated by the PolyCoder. So it's actually let's generate a four instance of the code corresponding to this task. So you can see for now this kind of the four instance code generated by PolyCoder. So it's actually the totally complete and accurate. So whereas I test like the ChatGPT with exactly same problem, and the actually which can give me like the good answers to follow. Okay, so for example, this is actually the code generated by the ChatGPT. So we can try it. Okay. 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 Quite nice. Okay. Okay. So that is actually the quick test on the PolyCoder, and the second open source library we are going to test is the CodeT5. So it is AI encode decode models for the code understanding and the generation. So we have this, the GitHub repos for the CodeT5, and also some brief tutorials also available. So fine-tuning the models on the GCP Google Cloud Platform for the various downstream tasks can be found here. So basically, you need to install the transformers and also install the PyTorch corresponding to your operation system, and also install the tree setter. Okay. So after you actually to install all these, the libraries, you can try to use and test the CodeT5. So you can using either the CodeT5 small or the best version. So the model, the URL link is here. So in the first 10 test samples, we just like test is the auto-complete code ability to greeting the users. So here you can see like you just like specify the tokenizer and the models to use, and then give some like a prompt. So here this kind of actual ID is actually the some like placeholder for the code you wish the AI to generate for you, and then the running this kind of the code, and it will generate some like the code, and then it will decode the generated like the tokens, and that give you some like the proper code. So you can see for this kind of like the greeting user, it actually generates the remaining part of code. Okay. In the second examples, auto-complete code to sum up two numbers. Okay, so just like give like the first part of the function definitions for sum up two codes, and then it will automatically complete the remaining for you. Okay, just a pretty simple dummy test samples. Okay, so and here you see I just give like need to be like a challenging problem, right? Just like a define like the binary search, the badly, you can see it cannot like the to complete it correctly. This is not good as Copilot and ChatGPT. So in the another examples, text to code generations, you just like to give like some like some comments in the natural language, and then to see if the CodeT5 can generate the code for you. So here cannot generate. Okay, so that is a very disappointing. So if I just like to give such kind of the questions to the ChatGPT, you can see how good it is for the ChatGPT. Okay, right. Okay, you can see it's look like the quite a comprehensive regular expression patterns the ChatGPT suggested. Okay, and then to test the functions, some like a test code chunk. Okay, looks nice. Okay. Right. Okay. So and my observation is that the code auto completion works only for the simple request, so it's not working at all for the some need to be like a complex query. Also, the pre-trained models seem like not able to do text to code generation. Okay, so that is a bit like the disappointing. Okay, so then so let's look at the other three the tools for the autocode generation and autocode completion, text to code, Cogram, and the Tabnine. So for the text to code, it manually click on the plugin button on the menu above to activate it. So this is like the text code, the extension button you can click on to enable it, like enable it. Okay, so it is a code auto generation proof of concept for the data science analytics use case, and it's GitHub and video demos. So you can see you see this is the text code reports, this is kind of video demos. So basically you can see it actually is automatically to generate some code according to your comments. Okay, you can try, everybody can try it. Okay, and for the Cogram, so it's actually the the can be activated in the Jupyter notebooks manually, but it actually is by default after installation it should be automatically already being activated. So you can click on this like the extension button to manually activate it. So actually I already because I tested it like a while ago, so maybe my API token has been expired, so currently it's like the service not available. Okay, so actually running the code is actually working properly before, so everybody can give it a try. I also have this some like the this some like a tutorial, the on like how to use it, the get started with the Cogram. Okay, so this kind of thing. This article is quite useful, so you can install it and simply and use it. And it's actually have the two working mode. So one is like called like auto suggest mode, and where the code makes the suggest where you stop, whenever you stop typing, it will auto generate remaining code. Or you can just like do some manual completion options triggered by the tab keys as well. So you can just switch between the two options for the test. Okay, so that is also available for the Cogram. Okay. So for the code auto generation, as I said, so just give like the comment and the query text, with the prefix of this sharp in the cell, and the code will be automatically generated. For the code auto completion, simply input the function of the class name, and the entire function of the class code will be automatically generated, in one go for you. Okay, this seems like a better, smart, and more complete than the Tabnine. Okay, so for the Tabnine, it's actually the for the code auto completion only. So you have to first input the several letters for each line, and Tabnine will show the some drop-down menus with multiple suggestions to choose from. Okay, so we can try that. So for example, I find it's very handy. When I'm doing data science work, for like input the Python as it automatically show up. You just like click on the tab, just auto complete for you. Okay, cool. And also like the import numpy. Okay, numpy as okay 9p. Nice. Okay, cool. So also the like the print for hello world. Okay, nice. Okay, nice. Okay, let's see, it's auto completed as well. Okay, nice. Okay, so and then the also like the do some like the check if like some some files exist. If it exists, open it. If not, the report errors. Like CSV. Let's say okay, auto completed. So try okay. Finish with the open file as a file. Okay, name. Okay. Okay, let's see as file. Okay. Okay, complete. Okay, and then we can just print out the sunny days. Okay, sunny day scenario. Okay, sunny day scenario. Nice. Okay, auto completed, and then you can see and except the IO errors. Okay, yeah, okay, errors. Yes, just complete for you, and then just a print. Okay, the okay rainy days. Okay, rainy days. Okay, okay, something like this. Okay, quite cool. So yeah, so let's actually also try the other stuff. A lot of stuff you can try. Okay, so for example, here you can try like to do something like define the load objects. Okay, load objects. Okay, file path. Just like second one. Okay, nice. Okay, with open the Ruby with files. Okay, I think this one. The second line is what I want. Okay, return pick file load. Okay, very quick. Just complete for you. Nice. And also the you can do like the find like the index for the top three, like the maximum values, like what I do. Okay, so just like load the np's arrays. Okay, and okay, so what I want to do is like some like just like manually to define some like the code. Code. Okay, so okay, that's fine. Whatever the number you want to do, and in ties. Okay, the top three. Okay, maximum values. I want to the error sort. The functions, And okay, so then the last three, okay, let's see this one. Okay, then the just like a swap, the just reverse, the all the elements just like this one. Yeah, print it. So okay, you can do it, and then you can print. Okay, device maximum. Yeah, this one. Okay, calculate. Yeah, np. Sorry. Yeah, so because we don't you can just like input the libraries, numpy libraries. Cool. Okay. You see, okay, you can go to the indices of the top three, the maximum values in the array. Okay, so you can extend this, and we can also like try the many other things, as well. Definitely define like some like two numbers. Okay, two numbers. Okay, two numbers A and B. Okay, let's see return. Yeah, this one, this is correct. Okay, let's see. Okay, you can just very handy to use. Okay. So and the Tabnine will always like the the very good the assistant tool for you actually to auto complete the coding, actually to improve your coding efficiency, no matter you are just like a beginner or the experienced users of any programming language. Okay, so cool. So that is just our quick test session. And as a summary, we can say it is still active research and development areas, and AI capabilities is keep like the evolving. So the training the large language models on the both text and code can achieve like the better performance. So the open source, the alternatives like the PolyCoder and the CodeT5 at the moment are just like experimental. So they are not as good as like Copilot or the ChatGPT for solving the programming problem. But however, the benefit is actually, so if you're using all these kind of the open source models, and you can just like always fine tune them, to on your specific data and use case, and you have the full control of such kind of white box instead of like the black box model. Okay, so always like choose like the most suitable option according to your use cases, your the program language you use, your specific domain with the domain expertise and so on. So I will keep tracking the state art, the framework and models to stay current and give an update afterwards. Okay. So last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to this channel to keep updated on the latest AI machine learning trends. Download a copy of this slide deck plus many more free data science ebooks and resources available. Thank you everybody, and talk to you later.